Hello, football officials, and welcome to training tape number 3 from the Wisconsin Officials Association Alliance. This is going to be released on Wednesday, September 20th of 2023, so we are over halfway through the Wisconsin football season before playoffs start. Lots of good things have come up that have been seen by the Alliance and some things to work on, and we're going to highlight those a little bit today and some good general reminders for the group as well. As we get into it, remember our disclaimers that this does not reflect any training specifically given by the WIAA or the NFHS or any state association for that matter. The training tape is for a 5-person officiating crew at the high school level. Clips you can see may be used from a 7-person or 8-person high school or college football game. Not today, but we have used that in the past. And then remember, no video or comment especially is meant to call out or degrade players, coaches, officials, or teams in any ways. We are using these strictly for learning purposes only. And of course, my name is Cade Murray. I'm the training coordinator for the Wisconsin Officials Association Alliance. If you ever have any questions, you are free to contact me. My email is listed there on the screen. I love getting plays, giving feedback. I really enjoy helping other people, and it's part of the reason why I do these. So please always feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And without further ado, let's get rolling. So our first topic that we're going to do is we're going to revisit a point of emphasis from this year in assisting the runner or helping the runner as it is defined in the rule book. And this was something that we highlighted at the beginning of the year, but we've seen some cases of it, and there's some good things to talk about when it comes to helping the runner. There's our rule right there listed on the screen. It's 9-1 right at the beginning of rule 9, so it's very easy to find right away. And that's all we get. That's the furthest definition that the best definition that we get for assisting the runner. So there's lots of things that we have to talk about. Philosophy with assisting the runner. Remember, this action needs to truly help the runner in his forward progress. This is something that you might see where his forward progress appears to be stopped. He's still fighting for that extra yard, so the play is still live. And then there's that extra push, pull, or lift that aids him, and that's when we want to call foul for assisting the runner. If the action does not aid that forward progress, you can often see that with a push. The foul does not need to be called. This is not only, if they push him and they don't gain, but if they appear to push, but he is still going at his own will. And we'll look at some clips where that can be apparent. And remember, these come in situations where the play is nearly dead or on 3rd and 4th down, where it's 4th and 3rd and short or to the goal line. And this action will often come from your running backs, on QB sneaks. They will often come from there. So some things to be alert of as you have those situations come up in your games. And remember, this is in the casebook as well. Pushing the pile by multiple players of the same team against their own runner is legal. This is defined in the casebook. It's the first situation that comes up when you look at the casebook. It's situation 9.1, and this is a legal play. So we're looking at actions done by a specific individual to aid a runner's forward progress. So here's our first play that we're going to look at, and this camera just gives a beautiful angle of assisting the runner here. And this is going to get called. This is a nice job by the referee here. There's going to be a QB sneak, and then the lineman's actually going to come, and you're going to see that the play is almost dead. And then he's going to come through, and he's going to push him through to give him another yard or so. And that is helping the runner. So this is a really good example right off the bat. This is a foul that you want called because his forward progress is about done, and you'll see, boom, that push, that gets him into the end zone. So this is a very good example of helping the runner. Your signal is that indeed of what the referee is doing right there. You don't need to give two. You can kind of just give one and move your hands, slowly outwards. It doesn't need to be anything too dramatic, but overall, nice catch by the referee in this play, and then the referee does a great job of, communicating this. I'm not sure if this is his preliminary or his announcement, but just remember, with all penalties, we want to make sure that we relay it through the radio, make sure our whole crew knows what we have before we go in and we enforce and make our true announcement to the press box. So helping the runner can also be a proactive officiating tool to use, if that makes sense. And I'll show you what I mean by this. So we're going to see this is a fourth and short situation, or a third and short situation. And we're going to see that running back comes through and he pushes that quarterback right in the back. First, we want to make sure that our antennas are up in these situations. Okay, there's going to be a QB sneak. We want to make sure that the running back doesn't aid his forward progress. But you also notice that the quarterback has a pretty large hole here created by his offensive line. And you need to use your judgment in, does this runner truly give him, the first down? Can he make that first down on his own? In this situation, I think you can argue that this push in the back doesn't necessarily grant him the first down. The quarterback really does this on his own. When his forward progress is stopped by the tackle, it is stopped. That extra push is not aiding him any further. So this is an example where you may not want to call helping the runner, but you instead want to have a conversation. You see this and you go right to the coach and you go, hey, we need to shut this down. You can't have any visual action that simulates this because it could get you in trouble down the line. And if we actually go right directly to our next clip, this is the same game, same team. We have a fourth and short situation. And this time, you could definitely argue, in my opinion, that there is helping the runner here. And we don't have a flag on it, but it's definitely, in my opinion, helping the runner. He gets put into the pile right away, and then that extra push by the running back, really pushes him past that line to gain marker. So definitely something that if you have that conversation perhaps with the coach right away, then this play perhaps does not happen where you're getting put in a situation. Obviously, you can see the team on defense, the coaches are very upset and they want us helping the runner here to the point where they're on the field and yelling, which is absolutely not needed. And this can be prevented if the conversation is had after that first play. So some things to think about with helping the runner. You definitely want to make sure that if you can, have conversations about this before the foul actually occurs, then you don't get put in situations like this. And just on last helping the runner play, this is a good example of lifting. So you're going to see the runner get stopped here, and then he's going to come through and he's really going to push, or he's going to lift him out of that tackle, and the umpire does a great job of catching that right away. So this is definitely, again, this is assisting the runner. He is stuffed up here, and then he is aided in his forward progress an extra couple yards by that push. So some things to think about in terms of helping the runner. Again, these are going to happen most likely in the middle of the field, and they're going to come when the play seems dead. So add that kind of to your dead ball officiating, toolbox and things to think about as we get rolling through here to the second half of the season. So this is kind of a unique topic that we're going to pull up here next, but this is going to be talking about pulling guards and tackles. And the reason I say this is because I feel like oftentimes with officials, when they're looking for the point of attack, they're trying to watch the ball, which can be a good way to do it. But if you have a team who runs a lot of fakes, who has a lot of action going on in the middle, that can be hard to read. But what's really easy to read, and what our line of scrimmage officials especially read, is the linemen, the tackles, and the guards. So actions by these players are where the fouls are going to occur. You're often going to see pulling guards going to the point of attack, and those are going to players on offense who foul or get fouled. So I want to show you just a few examples of how the pulling guard in this case, sets himself up to be a potential, person who fouls. And I also want to show you an example of how a tackle may come off and set the edge and then may foul as well. So just some good things to look at when we talk about looking for people to foul. So this is going to be a run to the left, and we're looking at this right guard right here. You're going to see he pulls right away. This is an example of him actually getting fouled. So in an offense like this, you'll see that the team in black here is running a version of the wing T, And when a pulling guard goes through, that's often the lead blocker. And you'll see that this defensive lineman actually comes through and he holds him. And that does not allow him to get to his block. And when he can't get to his block, then plays like this happen where a player will fumble and then thus losing possession because this defensive player held. If you think about it, if you watch this play through, if that guard comes through and he blocks where he's supposed to, the player who forces the fumble is getting blocked in this case. So definitely something that we need to keep our eyes on. We can read this from the snap. You see this guard going to the left, you know this is going to be a run to the left. And again, those are the people who are going to foul. We're not looking at the ball carrier in this instance. Remember, the ball carrier is not a threat to be fouled yet. So we want to be looking at our linemen, our exterior, wing backs, to look for potential fouls. And because, this guard is pulling, this is something that we want to have our eyes on. So it's a good example of, in my opinion, a defensive hold. Because again, this lineman's coming up, this guard is pulling, and he wraps his arms around him and thus takes him completely out of the play, and again forces a fumble to the other direction. So a good play to look at and keep your eyes on. So here we go, same game. We're going to be looking at the same player. You can't quite see him in the frame yet, but he's the right guard, and you're going to see that he comes around and he gets through, and this almost looks to be close to the same play, and you're going to see that he goes up and he blocks here. Now, there was a conversation within the association about potential targeting on this play, because if you were to look at the end zone view, that you would see that he leads with his head, he makes forcible contact to the head area. But my point is that again, this is a pulling guard who is the lead blocker. He is the one who's going to most likely foul in this case. The ball carrier is not yet threatened, so we do not need to be watching him. It's just like in basketball. You don't want to be ball watching until you have the ball into your primary area. And when we talk about football, the ball is in your primary area when he is threatened or being tackled. So you definitely want to have your eyes on this blocker here. And again, there's an action here that could constitute targeting. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but it's something that our antennas should be up about, and we should have our eyes on it, not on the ball carrier in this case. So again, this is another really good case of a pulling guard being someone who may or may not foul, and we want to have our eyes on them. This is one now where we're going to be looking at the left tackle, and you're going to see a run go through to the left, and this is one where again he's trying to set the edge a little bit, and he comes in and he commits a block that you could possibly say is a foul. Now, am I going to go through? Am I going to say it's a foul or not? I think it's close. I think it falls in the reverse takedown category, but nonetheless, it's something we want to have our eyes on. Again, this is one where maybe the referee can help clean up, because you have lead blockers out here that are the receivers, but the line of scrimmage official can certainly help on this play and see it if he needs to. So definitely something that, again, you want to have your antenna up about, you want to think about when you have runs like this and we have linemen coming out. Again, this is not necessarily a case of where we have pulling guards like the last couple plays, but still players who are setting an edge and creating a gap for runners to run through. And again, these are the players who are most likely going to foul. So just things to think about with this. I hope you found this section especially helpful if you are dealing with a team who has a heavy run game. Okay, so our last topic that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about lineman action on scrimmage kicks and PATs, but just some things in general about scrimmage kicks and PATs that I want to remind about. You can see I'm not going to read these verbatim on the screen here, but some things that I kind of notice as I go through and I look at film for multiple different games is oftentimes when a scrimmage kick or PAT is going on, we are so focused on the second half of the action. What I mean by that in scrimmage kicks is we're so focused on the return or what's going on while the kick is in the air. We're not as much focused on the action going on before that for potential holds, blocks below the waist. And on a PAT, we're not as focused as we are in the first half, when the hold happens, when the blockers are trying to get through, as we are on the second half when the ball is trying to go through the uprights and we're trying to determine if it's good or not. We need to give equal attention to both. So we're going to take a look here. This is a play where, overall, I think we can just have better PAT mechanics here. We see that the R is just walking into position after the ball has been blown into play. He's kind of still walking towards the line, and he's just stopping as the ball is being kicked. You already want to be in position before you blow the ball in, ready for play. We see that the line of scrimmage official who's walking under the other upright, he's not really hustling to get there. He's just kind of walking there. I guess he's giving a little bit of hustle. But, right there he's walking. He's not in position, and we're still walking to where we need to be. We want to hustle and get there. And we see that the back judge, he's got his hands on his hips. Is he communicating, our eligible receivers? Is he identifying where the play or, where he is going to be watching? The umpire, I think, is in good position. But you're going to notice if you watch on the left-hand side of the line, you're going to see this player right here. He's going to go through and he's going to dive at some offensive players' legs. And it almost seems like, as soon as that ball is kicked, we kind of just forget about everything else. When in fact, if you see a blocker coming through here to block, you want to have your antennas up and make sure that you see that the whole way through. So you see him charge in, and we just have nothing called. When this is definitely, in my opinion, would be a defensive block below the waist. Because of him going through and taking out his legs. He's not on the line of scrimmage. He's not in the tackle box, and he doesn't even go down immediately. So this is definitely something that you want to make sure that you are watching as you go through here. And overall, we want to just, we need to give equal attention to all plays in the high school game. Even if the PAT is dead when the ball is kicked, we need to continue to officiate through the whole way through, because fouls like these can happen. And this is a safety foul. That lineman right there, you see him retaliate at the end there because he could have hyperextended his knees because of this action here. So things that we need to be watching as we go through here are crucial. Again, the referee, if I pause the game here, I would almost like to see the referee right here where the hash and the line intersect. It gives him an opportunity to open his hips up if a play comes his side, and then he can also see through here, and he can catch that second half of the line right here if he sees any action there. I think the umpire is in good position. To me, I don't have a view that splits right down the uprights, but just want to make sure, that we're directly underneath the uprights so that we can see if the ball goes over here or if the ball, if it's really close, if it's going to go over top of one of the uprights there, that we can see if it's going to be on the right or the left-hand side of it. And then also, we want to have our eyes right here. We want to have them focused in, because if we don't, then what are we watching before the snap? We're watching nothing. Sure, we're responsible for our eligible receivers on the left and right-hand sides of the line, but before that, what's that action going on there? Are those blocks legal? Just things to think about as we, PATs happen. It's not a play that we get to take off as officials. We really want to officiate through completely on these plays. And then lastly, we see a scrimmage kick here, and we're going to see this player right here. He's, he's walled up, and then he goes through and he goes down. So this is one where we want our umpire to be kind of aware. You see that he has eyes on it. And that's good. We want to have eyes on these plays because, again, these actions can happen. The referee is going to go from the kicker, and then he's going to move his eyes towards and clean up after that. We got one line of scrimmage official going downfield, the other one holding the line, so he can see this as well because he's responsible for that kicking team until they cross his face. But the umpire definitely wants to have eyes on that before the ball is kicked through, and then afterwards as well. So again, this is a case where we have an offensive block below the waist because he's up, he hasn't gone down when the ball is snapped, and then he goes down and takes him out, and that's an offensive block below the waist. Just for perspective here, this foul does occur during the kick, so we would enforce that foul from the end of the kick, or excuse me, that penalty from the end of the kick, and then we would have first down for the team in black. But just things to think about as scrimmage kicks and PATs happen. We want to make sure that we catch these plays and we don't take these plays off as officials. That will do it for this training tape for the WOAA. Of course, you can join as an official if you would like to join any of the 3 associations, and I forgot to put the 4th one up here, but we have the Central Wisconsin Officials Association out of Wausau that is a part of the WOAA as well. So you can certainly join and get weekly rules quizzes and smaller videos if you would like. And we also have a coach account that is live now where coaches can register with the WOAA to receive the weekly quizzes and small videos that the officials get as well. So thank you for all of your support. Good luck in your games this week and moving forward, and I'll see you when we come back for our final tape of the season. Thank you.